and welcome to Crimes Through Time, a weekly snapshot of crime history. On the 11th of May 1812, Spencer Perceval, the British Prime Minister of the day, entered the lobby of the House of Commons, where a man was waiting, wearing a specially adapted jacket to conceal a loaded pistol and a second backup weapon. Spencer would become the only British Prime Minister to be assassinated, the victim of a man who had developed such a deep-seated hatred of authority that he sought to take the ultimate revenge. John Bellingham had embarked on a business venture in Russia, which had collapsed. The government had refused to bail him out. One strange fact about this case: Spencer predicted his own murder. So let's explore the assassination of a British Prime Minister. Spencer was born on the 1st of November 1762, the second son of John Perceval, 2nd Earl of Egmont. A very studious and clever boy, he attended Harrow School before attending Trinity College, Cambridge. At this point, the rule of primogeniture meant that he wasn't going to inherit any of his family's wealth and would have to build a career for himself. The rules of inheritance at this point meant that the eldest legitimate child inherited the complete estate and all monies, rather than it being split between all heirs. He chose to train as a lawyer, entering Lincoln's Inn in 1873. He qualified and was called to the bar in 1786. He joined Midland Circuit and built a successful practice. In 1790, he married Jane Wilson. The two eloped on her 21st birthday. They were very much in love and enjoyed a strong and happy marriage. In just 14 years, they had 12 children, 6 girls and 6 boys. Due to his short stature, he was affectionately known as Little P. He would make the transition from law to politics in 1796, when he was elected to Parliament as a Tory or Conservative member for Northampton. He was a rising star in the party and would serve as Solicitor General, Attorney General, Chancellor of the Exchequer and Leader of the House of Commons before becoming Prime Minister in October 1809, following the Duke of Portland's resignation. 1812 was a period of agitation, and there had been riots in Manchester in April. Spencer had ordered a House of Commons inquiry, the hearings of which would start in May. On the 11th of May 1812, Spencer was expected to attend the House at 4:30 p.m. He would never make it. John Bellingham was born in 1770 to John and Elizabeth. They were a family of moderate means, but in 1779, John Sr. would become mentally ill and he would be confined to an asylum for treatment, and he would die a year later. Thankfully, Elizabeth's family, and in particular her brother-in-law William Draw, was able to help. John Jr. was offered a position as an officer cadet on board the East India Company's ship Hartwell. The voyage didn't go as planned, and the crew mutinied off the coast of Cape Verde. John survived and was able to return home. William then set him up in business as a tinplate manufacturer in London. This too wouldn't go to plan, and in 1794 John was bankrupt. It is likely William helped once more because John managed to avoid debtor's prison, but he did learn from his experience and got a job with a trading company working with Russia. He rose in the ranks and in 1800 was appointed the firm's resident representative in Archangel, Russia. He was very successful, and when he returned home in 1803, he set up his own trading business in Liverpool. He also met Mary Neville, and the couple married. In 1804, John and Mary, along with their infant son, returned to Russia. All went well until they attempted to return home in November. John was detained for an unpaid debt associated with the business. He denied he was liable, claiming it was a set-up by 2 Russian merchants who believed he had embellished an insurance claim regarding a lost ship. Ultimately, John was ruled liable for 2,000 rubles, or about £200 of debt. He rejected the judgment, even though it was a fraction of the original allegation. John proposed to move his family to St. Petersburg in February 1805, obtaining all the relevant passes and documentation. However, on the day of travel, John's pass was revoked and he was detained and imprisoned. Mary and their son was able to continue with their travel. He appealed to Lord Granville Leveson Gower, the British ambassador. His matter was referred to the consulate, who declined to get involved with civil debt matters. He would remain in prison until November 1805, when a new city governor was elected. He released him and allowed him to join his family. Assuming reunited they would return to England. But John had other plans. He laid charges against the Archangel authorities for false imprisonment and demanded to be compensated, which quickly got John imprisoned again in June 1805. Despite all appeals, the British government declined to advocate for him. He would remain in custody until December 1809, when after a direct petition to Tsar Alexander, he was released and removed from Russia, uncompensated. In the meantime, Mary had returned to Liverpool, given birth to the couple's second child, and set up a millinery business with her friend Mary Stevens. John returned to England more determined than ever to be compensated for the wrongs done to him in Russia. He spent 6 months petitioning the Foreign Office, Treasury, the Privy Council, and directly to Spencer Perceval himself, accusing them of negligence in not stepping in to help in his time of need. Ultimately, Mary told him to return to Liverpool or lose his family, which he did reluctantly. But he just couldn't let the compensation go. He would return to London in December 1811, petitioning the Prince Regent, receiving a polite decline. On the 23rd of March 1812, he wrote to the Bow Street Magistrates' Court, arguing the government, quote, had completely endeavoured to close the door of justice, asking the court to get involved. Again, he was refused. On the 18th of April 1812, he met with Mr. Hill from the Treasury, where he yet again was declined. John would say that if he received no satisfaction, he would take matters into his own hands. Mr. Hill recognised the threat, but replied he should take whatever action he deemed proper. 2 days later, he purchased a pistol from a gunsmith of 58 Skinner Street and employed a tailor to sew a deep inside pocket into his coat. He began to make frequent visits to the House of Commons, sitting in the gallery examining the members of government through opera glasses. On the 11th of May 1812, John arrived unnoticed in the lobby. At 5 p.m. he sat quietly near the fireplace. The business of the house was already underway. Spencer was on his way. It was a lovely May evening, and he had chosen to discharge his carriage and walk from 10 Downing Street to Parliament. He would arrive about 5:15 p.m. He made his way down the corridor to the lobby entrance, where he handed his coat to the officer. The few people present turned to the doorway to see him enter. No one saw John as he calmly and with purpose walked towards Spencer. He fired the pistol directly into his chest. The bright flash, loud bang, and odour of gunpowder stunned the lobby into silence. Spencer staggered forward before falling to the floor. He exclaimed, quote, "I am murdered." Spencer was carried into the Speaker's apartments. He was laid on a table and a doctor summoned. But it was to be too late. Spencer had passed away. Mr. William Lynn, a surgeon, examined Spencer. He noted, quote, a wound of skin around the fourth rib on the left side near the breastbone, where a large pistol ball had entered. John sat back on the bench and waited. He was identified by an eyewitness as the shooter and quickly arrested and searched. He remained calm and compliant. It was noted that had he quickly walked from the lobby in all the chaos, he could have disappeared without a trace. When pushed to explain himself, he simply said he was rectifying a denial of justice on the part of the government. The inquest took place the next day at the Rose and Crown public house. The coroner heard evidence of the shooting, and the cause of death was registered as, quote, wilful murder by John Bellingham. Sir Vicary Gibbs, the Attorney General, pushed for the earliest possible trial date. John was held in Newgate Prison. His sanity was in question. Given his father's death in an asylum and his completely calm demeanour, his defence hoped to build an insanity defence. A grand jury met on the 14th of May, and John was found sane, and the trial began the next day. The law at the time limited how involved the defence counsel could be in a death penalty case. It would be up to John to present his case, with guidance on points of law. John pleaded not guilty. He thanked the Attorney General for rejecting the insanity plea. He then proceeded to blame Spencer for his actions, quote, "That truly amiable and highly lamented individual, Mr. Perceval," he stated, quote, "had all the miseries which is possible for human nature to endure had fallen on him." But he did concede he would have preferred Levison Gower to be the victim, as he had been the first to deny him justice and compensation. A guilty verdict came down just 15 minutes after the jury retired. John seemed surprised by the verdict, but remained silent. The presiding judge, Sir James Mansfield, pronounced the sentence, quote, "You shall be hanged by the neck until you are dead, your body to be dissected and anatomized." From the beginning to the end, the trial lasted 8 hours. The execution took place on the 18th of May outside Newgate Prison. It was recorded John appeared at the scaffold just after 8 a.m. He mounted the steps, quote, "with the utmost certainty. His tread was bold and firm, no indication of trembling, faltering, or irresolution appeared. His body was sent to St Bartholomew's Hospital. His clothes were sold to the highest bidder to members of the public." In the months following the execution, Mary Bellingham continued to live in Liverpool, but by the end of 1812 her business failed. Not much is known of her. It is possible that she changed back to her maiden name. Jane Perceval would find love again and married in January 1815 to Sir Henry William Carr. She passed away aged 74 in 1844. It would be the Earl of Harrowby that would reveal that Spencer had been troubled with a series of nightmares depicting his own murder, with the last being on the 10th of May. Spencer had confided in the Earl, and he had tried to persuade him not to attend the House of Parliament on the 11th of May. Spencer refused. He would not be scared off by, quote, "a mere dream," and headed to the lobby of the Houses of Parliament. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and let me know what you think of this case in the comments below, and I look forward to welcoming you in the next one.